Hi, my name is Annika, and I'm a public speaking and debating coach at Speaking School Australasia. For public speaking, I actually started quite early when I was in primary school. So I did lots of Model United Nations, I did lots of mock trials, and obviously lots of public speaking competition itself. And for debating, I started relatively late. I started in middle school and high school. So I participated in lots of National Speak and Debate Association. I did some public forum debating. I did British parliamentary and also Asia parliamentary, and obviously 3v3 debating. I'm also quite enthusiastic and dedicated in debating. In university, I participated in University of Sydney Debating Union, and I'm currently the school director here. And I also participated in lots of roles and Australasia competitions, and I'm very happy to share all these high school and university debating experiences with all the kids that I'm coaching currently here. I think my favorite part about public speaking, especially coaching and tutoring young kids to start with public speaking, is to see how they're growing up as an individual, that they gain this confidence and they have more ego boost. And throughout the process, they learn to express themselves in the best way possible, and they build up their manners, build up their confidence, and build up how they view the world and how they think about topics in a critical thinking way. I think first of all, my favorite part about debating is how you can intensively think about something in such a short and limited time, and how you can be surprised and impressed about how creative and how competitive you can actually be. And I think debating is a competitive environment that can maximize the potentials of all the kids, and that can actually give them a motivation to gain more knowledge as much as possible and help them to find the best of themselves. First of all, as a kid in the school, I didn't have lots of attention on academics, especially like politics and economic subjects previously. However, throughout the process of debating, I actually started to gain an internal motivation to know more about the world. I started to be self-motivated into reading news and reading like even Wikipedia and reading lots of questions that I previously would never thought about. So I think that's the first thing why debating is so important and changed me a lot. And I think the second thing about debating is it actually improves my social skills. I have so many friends through debating in high school and uni, and they are lifelong friends that actually build up my social connections and actually make me a more perfect and complete individual. First of all, I think the most important skill that debating equips me with, and sometimes people forget, is how it actually turns you into a more empathetic and sympathetic individual. You start to learn not everything is right and wrong, black and white. You actually know that everything has two-sided. People have different incentives, and different actors might factor this incentive into their decision-making process. You come to understand that people have their own struggles and own sufferings, and you learn to understand there are people outside of your perspective. There's so many different stakeholders in the society that we have to take care of. And I think that's firstly how debating make me into a more well-rounded person, that I'm not only selfish or self-centered, but actually look through things from different lenses and different perspectives. And I think second of all, most importantly, it actually just helped me and encouraged me to speak up more about myself. I learned how to defend my rights when I'm having struggles, when I'm facing like bad things from other people. I learned that it is important that I have my own rights and I can have a right to defend myself. And third of all, I think the most important thing is that not only about debating, it's because when you're in a debating competition, not only in high school or university, you have this kind of break time and you have the socials that you can hang around with people. So I feel like I'm more comfortable as an extrovert individual to hang out with people and interact with people in a more comfortable social setting. My favorite thing about coaching, first of all, is to actually make friends with the kids and to see how at the very beginning they're so shy, and at the very beginning they're kind of scared of you, but at the very end of the holiday program they start to interact with me in such a friendly way, and they will probably remember me for the rest of their life. And I think secondarily is to shape and also offer more inspiring ideas to kids who probably previously come from a background that they have limited access to knowledge, and also they probably only have restricted perspective of how they view the world. You actually offer them more news, more knowledge, and actually challenge their previous thinking and their previous framework, so they have more aspects to the society that is kind of inspiring and kind of innovative. I think first of all, the most important thing to remember is that even though kids are kids, they're incredibly and way more sensitive to everything and every single word have you said. That I think that's also why the reason why Speaking Schools Australasia emphasize so much on constructive feedback. And when we are offering criticism to the kid, we firstly have to identify and acknowledge what are the advantages of the kids and what are they good at. Because I think as a kid, sometimes you tend to forget what you're good at and you're very susceptible to criticism. So I think the biggest tip about coaching is that when you're trying to offer the knowledge, it is also very important to protect the ego and very important to protect the confidence of the kids. Because only if they believe in themselves, they can also believe in you, and they can also believe that they have maximized potentials into engaging with the classes and public speaking and debating, and they can truly enjoy it and enjoy being themselves throughout the process. I think the first and most important thing I learned about myself is that previously I oftentimes explain things in very complicated ways. And when people do not understand it, I always feel like it's the other person's problem or the opponent's problem, especially in debating or while I was being adjudicated. However, throughout coaching kids, I learned to understand when you're doing a speech or when you are doing public speaking or debating, when you're trying to persuade someone, the most important thing is to be in their foot. And the most important thing is to think from their perspective instead of your perspective. So it is more important that the kid understands instead of you're feeling happy because you're talking. So I think that's the most important thing I learned from coaching kids is that sometimes when I'm expressing, what is most important is the person who are listening actually get the content I delivered instead of me trying to deliver whatever I want. I think I quite enjoy working at Speaking Schools, and especially because I have a very friendly and we have a very small class, so I get to know every single kid and I get to know their potentials. I get to know what do they want and what exactly are their goals. Are they coming here just because of parents want them, or are they actually self-motivated? I think that's very important for me is that I do not have the pressure and the stress to, for example, manage a 30 or 20 people class that don't know anyone. I couldn't remember their faces and names. I can actually build this kind of interpersonal connection with the kids. I think as a coach, when you are having interpersonal connection with the kids, you know what they're struggling for, you know what are their perspectives and what are their aims and goals in public speaking. It is way easier for you and way more enjoyable for you to engage with their participation in classes and engage with their achievements further in either public speaking and debating. And you can actually have fun hanging out with them, doing speaking activities with them, and also bring them to play multiple games with other classes. And that's, I think, why I quite enjoy working here. I think first of all, I would tell them that it's completely normal if you're scared of something. Because, for example, I'm scared of bungee jumping. I'm scared of even climbing up high mountains. So first of all, I would tell them that scare is completely normal. Not everybody started out with perfectly confident. I started out with shy of speaking up. I started out with not confident in my English ability, not confident with my public speaking ability. And I think it is very important to emphasize to the kid that everybody has this process. Because I think one of the reasons why kids feel not confident and feel shy speaking up in an open environment and scared of public speaking and debating is probably he sees lots of successful examples and he sees lots of peers from his school and from the classes who are already so professionalized in public speaking and debating activity because they have previous experiences. I think try to emphasize to the kid, first of all, everybody is scared of it at the very beginning and it is completely normal. And second of all, tell the kid that today my goal is not to be so impressive, and today my goal is not to be the best debater and public speaker as much as possible. As long as you walk a little bit out of the comfort zone and try to do as much as possible, even though you're still not a perfect speaker. However, if you write down more bullet points during your preparation time, that is completely awesome, and that is something that I will highly recommend it, and that is something that I will actually praise you on it. So if you're not good at public speaking, probably focus on your methods before you focus on your manners. If you're not good at debating, probably focusing on knowing more instead of directly jumping to, oh, I'm going to be so aggressive, I'm going to be so good at rebuttals. And I think that's a typical starting point for a kid who is very shy and who is very introvert. I think the first tip I wouldn't give myself is probably to talk slower, because whenever I'm incredibly nervous, I just speed and I just talk in a pace that I personally do not even understand. So I think the first tip I gave to myself is just calm down. It's not that deep. is completely okay if you mess it up. And because I actually messed up my first speech because I was overly nervous and I take it overly seriously. So sometimes take it less deep and don't consider it as much important as it is supposed to be. It's probably a good tip of having your first speech, of not being nervous and completely chill out. First of all is how debating and public speaking let me know about the outside world, because I come from a country that has blocked on internet and I have to climb the firewall in order to access kind of internet. So for my previous education, it was completely like very ideological. I wouldn't have known so much more about the outside world if it's not debating and public speaking. They encourage me to know, hey, what exactly does this term mean? What is dictatorship? What is that? So I think first of all, it actually gave me a scope of knowledge that I would never ever had access to. And I think second of all is it actually builds up my empathy and sympathy to other people. Because previously I was quite selfish, I was quite self-centered because I was a single child. So it is very hard to me to be empathetic to other people. However, through debating, I actually understand that people have different perspectives. Sometimes your adjudicators do not like your claim, not because they're evil, just because they have different perspectives, and it is important to understand their perspective. I think third of all is that I am more willing to accept failures and struggles in my life. I don't think losing a competition is such a big deal because I've lost so many of them, and I tend to know how to deal with them and how to interact them with my emotions and how to deal with my anxiety in debating.